Hello all, 4Player Squad Gaming here, and this is our Final Fantasy XIV Trial Guide series. The Singularity Reactor is a level 60 trial released in patch 3.0 and is part of the main scenario questline featured during the quest Heavensward. The quest giver is the guidance node in Aziz's Law. It is also worth mentioning at the time of recording this video, 10 tomestones of poetics are awarded upon completion. Be ready for a fight of royal proportions, as King Thordan and the legendary Knights 12 have transcended their mortal limits. This trial is an end of story trial and will therefore contain spoilers, but we'll aim to keep them to a minimum. Now without further ado, let's dive into the guide. Start this fight as normal with the main tank gaining enmity of the boss and facing it away from the party. Thordan does have a frontal tank buster cleave that the rest of the party should avoid. Next, Thordan will use Ascalon's Mercy. This is a divided frontal cone AoE, again just dodge this as necessary. Shortly after this, Thordan will use Knights of the Round. This will summon Sir Jean Lenu and Sir Adelpho. These two knights will dash around the room, leaving light orbs behind. These will eventually explode in a small point blank AoE, so aim to avoid these in the order that they spawn. Being hit will also debuff the player with bleeding, causing damage over time. This can and should be cleansed as soon as possible. Also just be mindful of Thordan casting the previous mentioned tank buster and frontal cone during this phase. The second cast of Knights of the Round will summon Sir Velguin. This knight will dash across the arena and deal damage in a frontal column AoE. This can easily be avoided. Thordan will also start using Thunderstorm from this point on, targeting 4 random players with a Thunderbolt that deals splash damage. Aim to spread out from other players when targeted. Almost immediately after, Thordan will start to charge the Dragon's Eye, which will then be followed by Dragon's Gaze. As with all gaze attacks, simply face away from the boss to avoid being debuffed with Terror, which temporarily causes players to lose control. After all this, and when Thordan reaches between 10 to 15% health, he will become untargetable and phase 2 will begin. During phase 2, the arena will change and Thordan disappears. Instead, we'll have to deal with the 12 legendary knights. For the most part, we simply just need to avoid the AoE from each knight with a few exceptions. Our first pair will be Sir Charibert and Sir Hermanost. Avoid the circular fire AoE that will explode in a tri-pattern expanding outwards. 2 pairs of players will also be chained together. Simply run away from your partner to break the chain and the debuff that deals damage over time. Additionally, 3 players need to stand on the conviction towers at the edge of the arena. Failure to do so will inflict the party with paralysis and damage from the explosions. It sounds like a lot to deal with, but the damage dealt is quite low and you have plenty of time. The next pair of knights are Sir Zephyrin and Velguin. The first will start a 15-second cast of Sacred Cross. The party needs to focus him down and get his health as low as possible before the end of the cast. The higher his health, the more damage is dealt. Shortly after, Velguin will dash across the arena as before in a frontal column AoE, avoid as necessary. Next we have 3 knights spawn. Sir Jean Lenu and Adelpho will reappear and the tank should gain enmity whilst the party aims to kill them quickly. Sir Ignace will eventually appear shortly after. Avoid the proximity based damage marker by heading over towards the opposite side of the arena to minimise damage received. Jean Lenu and Adelpho will also cast Holiest of Holy, dealing raid-wide damage. Heal through this as necessary. The next set of knights will be Sir Paulacran and Hormering. 4 players will be targeted with an ice marker. These players need to spread out towards the edges of the arena. They will be dealt damage and an ice puddle will be left behind. Walking through these areas will debuff players with heavy. During this time, 1 party member will be targeted with a column AoE. Mitigate and heal through this damage. Other players should also avoid being in the line of fire from this AoE. Sir Grino will spawn afterwards and spawn multiple dart AoE circles that slowly expand. Simply find a safe spot and stand in this to avoid the damage dealt. Finally, Sir Nardinal and Sir Garrick will spawn one after the other. Comets and meteor circles will spawn and the party should aim to kill these quickly. Ideally killing the smaller outer comets first, then the meteor centrally, though you have plenty of time to clear them. Sir Garrick will spawn centrally and will cast a 270-degree frontal cone that repeatedly expands. This will cast twice, avoid as necessary. Finally, Thordan will reappear and start pulsing out damage from the Light of Ascalon. This is very easy to heal through and can basically be ignored. During the whole fight, a limit break gauge will have been building under the duty information. This should be relatively low. This will only build whilst the knights are alive. Killing them quickly will stop this building too high. Thordan will then cast his ultimate End. This ability can wipe if the limit bar reaches 100, but this should never really happen as you have plenty of time to kill all the knights. Phase 3 will now begin and Thordan will only use his initial 2 abilities. Keep up the damage and kill Thordan. And there you have it, the Singularity Reactor is complete. Remember to commemorate the player you believe deserves it most. We give this trial a difficulty rating 2 out of 5 swords. This trial is commonly known as one of the easiest, with all enemies dealing very little damage and easy to avoid AoEs. There is no special loot for this trial. We hope this guide helps, though you won't really need it. We are 4 Player Squad Gaming. Until next time, thanks for watching.